you can design the lifestyle you want. First, you got to think about what you want. You have to know all of the options available. You've got to protect yourself along the way. That's where estate planning comes in, and insurance and asset protection planning, to get to a place where you are free.
All right, guys. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Practical Wealth Show. And I have John. I should have asked you this before we got started. How to pronounce your last name? John.
Come on, man. Just like it's spelled, Smith.
Right.
It's Michaelides.
John Michaelides. Thank you. I usually have thought about it. We got to talking. I forgot to ask him.
We were having fun, man.
Right. So y'all weren't in the green room. You missed some good conversation. And so as a young man, John served, and to just give you a little bit of his background before we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about a couple of interesting concepts, say creating a mindset that leads to, which I know most of you all want, lifestyle liberation. And we're going to talk about, so that's kind of the destination you want to go to. And then we're going to talk about how to protect, perpetuate, and compound your wealth. All right. And so, that's perfect alignment with our message to the Practical Wealth here show. And so he was with the U.S. Army and as the 82nd Airborne Paratrooper. So he's a badass, right? He's with a career spanning 30 years as a broker, a property manager, educator, mentor, group investment sponsor, coach. He actually works with those interested in fortifying their futures, preserving their asset, and leaving a legacy that lasts. So I want to get into all of that, John. So, John, welcome. Man, how much we can get into it today. Welcome to the Practical Wealth Show.
Thank you. I have to correct something. I was once upon a time, as a young man, what you said I was. Now I'm just an old codger trying to pass something down to the young folks.
All right.
Those 82nd Airborne days are long.
Right. All right. So once a badass, I was a badass. It's still there.
All right.
So tell me about we started talking about this. So he's got a book out, Strategic Planning and Investing for Individuals. Tell us about your latest book. We'll start there.
Okay. So the subtitle of that is Asset Protection, Diversification, and Passive Investing for Cash Flow and Lifestyle Liberation. So I'm looking out on the horizon. Like I said, I'm a 60-year-old man. I'm thinking about winding down my career and becoming more passive, more speaking, more writing, that kind of thing. What can I pass on? And I look out on the horizon and I see the young folks, and don't be offended, but if you're under 40, you're young folk. Okay?
There you go.
So I see the young folks, many of them, obviously folks that listen to your show are a whole nother class, but I see the young folks think investing is what the HR lady tells me I should do with my employer 401k. And people just don't understand that there's a world out there of investing. There's syndications, and syndications is simply a method of pooling funds to go into some business, real estate deal. Anything could be syndicated. Most movies are syndications. People don't realize. So there's syndication.
No, I didn't know that.
Most movies are syndications. When next time you look at the credits and it gives you all the associate producers, those are all just people that invested. They didn't do anything. Except put money in the deal. Yeah, so anything can be syndicated. It's just a method of pooling funds, and you have an operator that actually pulls off the deal, whatever it is. We've got hard assets. We've got gold. We've got silver. We've got oil. We've got tax benefits. Talk about oil. You've got tax benefits associated with some of these things. You've got a whole life insurance policies and the infinite banking concept. Life insurance, I think, is a very important of the planning that most people don't think of. Estate planning. What happens if you die, God forbid? What happens if you're incapacitated, God forbid? Uncle Sam is going to come knocking, right? What about asset protection? What happens when someone slips and falls in your business? Are things set up properly? Do you have layer upon layer upon layer? So I'm getting in the weeds, but strategic planning and investing for individuals, the book, isn't about investing in any particular thing. It's an overview. I talk about the times we're living in now, which are a little crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I talk about the mindset you need to have. I talk about the fact that investing is a team sport. You need to have a good CPA. You need to have an asset protection attorney. You need to have a estate planning attorney. You need to have financial advisors on your team. You have to have a syndication operators that you know and trust that you want to invest with. It's a team sport. So the book isn't going to teach you how to be an expert in anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's a menu that's going to open your eyes to possibilities. And I have a deep bibliography in the back with, I haven't counted, but maybe 30, 40 recommended books that if you do want to deep dive into any of the subjects I discuss, I give you some good opportunities.
Oh, that's awesome. You know, before we tape, you said he spent 3 hours with Nelson Nash. And one of the things that I do is and Nelson always encourages you, if you want to like read through his bibliography, right? Because when I read, I want to know, I'll read it and then I want to read what the author's reading to form his opinion. So I always go one step backwards, right? So I think that's fascinating, because I'm always, I guess when I write my book, there'll probably be, I'll recommend like 4 things where I've all these things. That's what 4 or 5 things where all these ideas I come from, because I always tell people I have no original thoughts, but I'm a good curator, right? Of simplifying it for you. So that's brilliant. I want to talk about see, I shouldn't have started talking because I had my original thought left me. But let's talk about what do you mean when you say strategic planning when it comes to individual investors? Because that's, excuse me, who we're talking to.
Okay, so let's just start with the word strategic versus the word tactical.
Okay, yes.
Those 2 words often are hand in hand, and they're 2 sides of the same coin. So tactical is the specific actions you're going to take to accomplish some end.
Yeah.
The strategy is the overall view, the long-term vision and plan. So strategic planning, the title is there. So right off the bat, it hits you that, like I said, investing isn't simply signing up with the HR lady for the 401k. It's something you think about. It has numerous pieces. There are other professionals that you bring in, and it depends on where you want to go. And you see, you only know that. In the subtitle, we use the term lifestyle liberation. To me, lifestyle liberation simply means you live the way you want to live.
Yes.
You may want to live an $80,000 a year lifestyle. Who can say that's wrong? Who can tell you you should be striving for more or less? That's your business. But the idea is, know that you want to live an $80,000 a year lifestyle, or an $800,000 a year lifestyle, or an $8 million a year lifestyle. Once you know what you're going for, now the idea is, how do I set my life up such that someday, now obviously, let's take it to a very low extreme. Mm-hmm. If you want to have a $25,000 a year lifestyle, that's a lot easier to accomplish than a $25 million a year lifestyle.
Right.
So everything's going to take time. but and some things will take more time than others. But the point is, you can design the lifestyle you want. First, you got to think about what you want. You have to know all of the options available. You've got to protect yourself along the way. That's where estate planning comes in, and insurance and asset protection planning, to get to a place where you are free. Lifestyle liberation. I work in my business 10 or 15 hours a week. Other people run it.
Mm-hmm.
I have passive investments that bring me some cash flow. So the truth is, I've hit that. Now, right. I didn't have a $25 million goal. I never wanted to work that hard. I was never driven by money that much. But you can have a couple, few thousand, $100,000 a year lifestyle built up in 10 years for sure. If you're strategic, if you learn and you partner with the right people. Strategy, big picture, planning, bringing in other people. Investing is not a lone wolf endeavor. Investing is a team sport.
Break that down. It's a because that, you know, it's one of the things that we try to do with our practices to help people develop what I call their power teams. Like, it is a team sport. It's a plan. One of the things I found is that the financial plan, what you want and why, and playing defense and legacy and savings, those certain principles, that precedes the investing or the business plan. So like, a lot of people just want to invest, but they don't really know why. They don't know when they've won.
They have no idea.
They have no idea. They just kind of chasing
money. The HR lady told her.
Yeah.
The TV commercial told her.
I'll tell you, even some of the investors I work with, I work a lot with real estate investors. They are financially free. Well, some of them are. Now, some of them aren't, but they don't really. I said, well, how do you know when you won? Like, you know, or your first level of winning. And what I love what you said, I'm jumping around a little bit. My mind, I have ADD. Is like 10 years or less. Like, one of the things that we say, you know, economic independence in a decade or less, right? Which I think is achievable. You can't achieve it with a 401k though. You have to be more of an active investor, investing for cash flow and not capital gains, right? You have to, you know, I told you got to buy assets. So, you know, I use the Kiyosaki. Yeah, please.
You just popped something into my brain. Most people don't understand the difference between an investment and a speculation.
Oh, come on now.
Do you know how many people think they're investors and they don't own a single investment? Their entire portfolio is a speculation. That just blows my mind. For those of you that don't understand, speculation is gambling. Speculation is putting a bet and hoping it pays off. Now, some bets are riskier than other bets, but a bet is a bet is a bet. An investment is something that you put some capital into, that you're hopefully, there's good investments and bad investments, right? Mm-hmm. You're going to preserve that capital. You're going to preserve that initial nut while it's in there. And this, again, is why estate planning, asset protection, and insurance is important, right? So you're going to preserve that nut, and that nut is going to be an economic engine that spits out cash flow. That's an investment. Now, you can have an investment go bad. It just because you're making that distinction between an investment versus a gamble doesn't mean that every investment is going to work out. But the point is, at least I'm gonna start getting nervous. You just need to understand, folks.
You know, like invest. Yeah, you have to understand it. It's your money, right? And well, here's the thing. I always quote just basically what you're saying. I'm gonna bill you out a little, and is that what's his name? John. I always ask people this. I say, have you heard of Warren Buffett? They go, yes. I say, have you heard of my mind is blank. Who's his mentor? Benjamin Graham.
Benjamin Graham.
Right. So in his book, The Intelligent Investor, and they were talking about securities. This is really interesting. The first chapter is speculation versus investing versus speculation. And they were talking about the stock market. And he made a whole chapter just on that. He says, here's an investment. Invest in something you put your money into where your principal is safe. You have a reasonable opportunity to make a profit. If it doesn't fit that definition, you are speculating or gambling, right? I ask people to match that up with what they've been taught and what they think is. Most people are speculating, right? They're gambling. Their 401k is gambling. There's nothing, you can't control anything about it going up or down. All you control is putting more money in, right? And so to me, that's not investing. And so a lot of times when I work with clients is I try to like define things, right? Because what happens is people change the language. They say save for retirement with 401k, but you're not saving. Savings just sounds better, but you're investing. But really, if you go down to a definition we just talked about, you're not even investing. You're really speculating.
Yeah, speculating means you're putting your money on the table and hoping it goes up in value. Look at Bitcoin, and I touched the third rail. Bitcoin, it's a speculation, folks.
It's a speculative asset.
It may be good speculation, it may be bad. I don't want to get into that, but the point is, there's no cash flow from Bitcoin, and it doesn't produce anything. It's a bet. Right. You're hoping it goes up in value. I'm not a gambler. See, I don't have any money in Bitcoin. If someone does, fine, because that's what going back to what I said before. Mm-hmm. Everyone needs to choose what's right for them. There is no right and wrong. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people that make a lot of money in speculation. It's not my character. I don't feel good when I'm doing that. So that's, again, one of the parts of strategic planning. Know who you are. Know what you can live with. You don't want to be on pins and needles all the time.
Right. Right.
Oh, by the way, gold and silver, physical gold and silver. I'm not talking paper gold and silver.
Right.
Those aren't investments either.
Yes, come on.
I'm a big fan. I think everyone should have a portion, not 100%,
right,
but a portion of their portfolio in gold and silver, not because it's an investment. Gold and silver doesn't spit out a dime of cash flow. It's insurance.
It's insurance. That's exactly what I tell people.
Hedge against calamity.
Yes.
If the you-know-what hits the fan, you might be glad that you got a little pile of something that isn't, let's face it, the U.S. dollar is a paper asset. Mm-hmm. Any fiat currency is as good as the paper it's printed on. Mm-hmm. The day somebody stops accepting it is the day it's worth nothing. Now, as the reserve currency, the U.S. dollar probably isn't going to stop being accepted today like the Venezuelan currency is. But the point is, it's still a paper currency. I promise you, no matter what happens, you try to give somebody a bar of gold, they will take it.
They will take it, for sure.
They will take that bar of gold. So again, that is not an investment, but I wouldn't characterize that as a speculation. If you're buying gold and silver hoping that it goes up and you make a pile of cash, that's a speculation. But if you understand what it is, it's part of your insurance planning.
Right.
And I think everybody should have some.
Do you have a percentage that you think about?
I write about that in the book. And, I've got friends that every month buy some gold and silver. Doesn't matter if the price goes up, price goes down. They just want to keep having certain percentage of their income going into their insurance policy.
I like that. Dollar cost averaging in the hard assets. Yeah.
And then there's other folks that say, well, just like people say about savings, you should have 3 months work. You should have 6 months work. You should have a year work. you know what, Curtis? I can't tell you or Joe or Jane how much they should have, but I can say you should have some.
Yeah. Yeah.
You should have some. You need to figure out what that sum is. But look, who cares about you more than you?
That's right.
Is the government going to take care of you when it comes right down to it? Maybe, maybe not. You know, your friends, a lot of people have friends until hard times come, and then they realize they don't have any friends. They thought they had friends. They had speculations, not
right.
So my point is, part of lifestyle liberation is that security that comes from having life insurance, that comes from having your structure set up in entities so that they're lawsuit protected. There's having some gold in case you know what hits the fan. Maybe having some investments offshore. You know, the United States is a great place, but things can go wrong. You know, Europe went to heck in World War I and World War II, and you know, maybe some money offshore. I did a trip in the spring down to Paraguay, looking at some agricultural land opportunities down there. I took a trip to Belize, looking at some resort property opportunities down there. It's the old all your eggs in one basket. Well, the U.S. is a big basket, and it's a pretty darn good basket, but it's still one basket.
Right. Right.
So the idea, again, getting back to the question that started this whole conversation, strategy is about thinking these things through, not just doing what someone tells you to do. It's about saying, this is my life. What do I want to get out of it? What makes me feel good? What makes me feel nervous? Who do I want to do business with? Who do I not want to do business with? And setting out on a course to get you where you want to go.
Yes, I love that. Let's talk about I keep coming back. I love lifestyle liberation and the mindset that goes with that, because I think once you set that as a goal, it'll automatically stop you from doing certain things, because you know once you have that goal, you need, and it's a number, it's a cash flow number, right? And so it kind of forces you to organize your thoughts and what you're doing to generate that number, and to buy assets that generate cash flow so you can liberate yourself. We call in our system getting to a position of FU, right? Where you've got
there you go.
Passive income twice your expenses, right? At least that's like the first level. That's not like rich.
And that stands for French underwear.
Yeah, you go.
Hey, check this out. Tell me what you think of this. I talk about a concept of taking out bills. In other words, if you have a goal of I want to have $1 million, you know, whatever, that's big, that's hairy, that's scary. But what if you got a goal of an investment that just takes out your car payments, and then you achieve that? Now your cars are free for the rest of your life. Now you have another goal: take out my house payment, the cash flow. My housing is free for the rest of my life.
Right.
Take out my phone bills. Take out my vacation travel. Take out little chunks, have little streams of cash flow coming in. But take out different sectors of your expenses until one day and you wake up and say, whoa, everything's covered. Everything's covered. I don't have to punch a clock.
I love that. That's a great way to look at it. I love that.
So what if you had the goal this year?
Mm-hmm.
Anything. This year, I'm going to take out, let's say you and your wife, you both got your car payments, you both got your cell phone. What if you're going to take out your car payments, the insurance, and your cell phone bills this year. I'm going to have some investment, cash flow. How are you going to pay for this stuff with a speculation? It's got to be cash flow.
Right.
I'm going to have cash flow and investments that take out my car payments, my car insurance, and my cell phone bills this year. So that from now on, they're paid. Now, what didn't I say? And this is a trap. You got to be disciplined, because what most people do is they'll take out the car payments and they'll take out the cell phone payments, and then I'll say, well, I got extra money, I'll go buy a phone.
Right.
But my point is, get yourself where you need to be, then buy the phone.
Right.
You know, you got to be disciplined as you're going through it. I'm not saying be a monk. I'm not saying don't enjoy life. But again, we're trying to accomplish something. You want to be a great tennis player, a great football player. You want to shoot hoops, be the next Michael Jordan. You're going to spend time on the court. You're going to work. So if this planning your lifestyle liberation is going to take a little bit of sacrifice. Mm-hmm. It's going to take discipline. It's going to be not don't go out to dinner, but just be thinking about, when I'm making this expense purchase, is this really get me? I know, because you've been through the exercise, I know where I really want to be.
Right.
Is this going to get me there, or is this taking me away from it? So it's not depriving yourself. Most people just aren't conscious that some of the actions they're taking are actually putting them further behind. They think they're doing something good, and they're actually hurting themselves. So it's just about being aware. And then if you decide, no, I do want that, go for it. It's your life. But maybe you'll say, that was an impulse. I don't really need that, because I know the fruit at the end of my plan is going to be, and then I'll be able to buy all of that I want.
Wherever I want, for how long I want. Exactly. So you have to, somebody asked me one time I was being interviewed on a show, and it's like, are you a minimalist? No, I'm not a minimalist. I believe I want you to live the best life you can today and in the future, but you can't overspend. But I don't focus on, like in our system, we don't like budging. So I teach something called cash flow mapping. Tell your money where to go instead of asking where it went. So I want to assign each dollar a job. I'm sorry. And if you could save 20% or more of your income, I don't care what you do the rest of it, right? Because you're setting aside money for future capital to buy, which I'm going to ask you about next is the hard asset. Why do you prefer them? But if you can do that, and you're using that money to buy or build more assets, now you're focused on what I call prosperity versus scarcity, right? And you're like, if you just focus on budgeting, it's like fear-based hoarding, right? And so you're not going to do that all your life. And then when you retire, which I don't believe in either, you're going to all of a sudden live this great life, at 67 or whatever, so I want you to enjoy yourself now, and just be a good steward, which you design. Nelson Nash will call that getting control of Parkinson's law, right? The expenses rise to meet income. And so you have to have discipline to be able to do that. So that is brilliant. So for y'all we're going to give you a link. You need to pick up this book. This is brilliant stuff. I have to get you back on another time. I appreciate you spending some time with me today. So talk about this. So let's talk about do regular people buy derivatives? I want to talk about the difference between hard assets and derivatives. I know what they are. Oh no! Warren Buffett says they're a tool. What do they call them? A tool of mass destruction, a money tool of mass destruction, like that. And but what are they? Do regular people buy them? And why do you prefer hard assets? That's really what I want to know. And and then describe what you mean by a hard asset.
Look, a hard asset is something you can take title to and hold it in your hand. Now, you can't hold an apartment building in your hand, but you know what I'm saying.
Right.
So it's a real thing. Is your Exxon stock a hard asset? Your one share of Exxon stock, is that a hard asset?
No.
It ain't.
Nope.
It's a derivative. Oh, well, I own a piece of the company. Yeah, which piece? Show it to me. Well, I don't actually own any. Exactly. You don't own anything. You don't own anything. That's a paper derivative. Do you know your bank account, the money in your bank account belongs to the bank? It doesn't belong to you. Read the fine print.
Yeah.
You have a claim against the bank's money. When you make a deposit, that shows as an asset on the bank's books because it's their money now. You have a claim. A bank deposit is a derivative.
Mm.
Money in your hand is an asset. You own a gold index fund and you're watching the index fund price per share went up and it went down. Do you own any gold? No. Can you call them up and say, send me the gold equivalent of my shares? There's no gold equivalent in shares. We're just trading paper. You don't own anything. The difference between a derivative is here. Futures markets. You can own a bushel of corn. You can eat that corn. You could sell that corn. You could plant that corn. You own a futures contract on corn. You don't own any corn. You own a bet on whether the price of corn is going up or down. It's a derivative. So an asset is a thing that you hold, that you own. Now, some of it can be smoky. What I mean by smoky is, well, my book. I own the intellectual property, the copyright. I own it. That's a smoky, that's an asset, but it's smoky. You can't hold the copyright and bury it in the ground, but nevertheless, it's an asset. It's ownership. I have title. If someone tries to reproduce this book and sell it, I can take them to court and make claims, and the court will uphold that. So there's some assets you don't actually hold intellectual property rights. Let's talk about investing. People don't know. Did you know that you could own royalties in gold mines, silver mines, recording portfolios, songs? You can own 1,700,000 last year. The rights to the income stream from the sale of Listerine, the mouthwash. Those rights were sold for $1.7 million a year ago. Somebody bought them, and now they're getting, I think their return was about 12% on the rights of Listerine. 110-year-old product. Listerine sales aren't going to stop anytime soon. Someone bought the rights to that income stream. That's an asset.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
There are some interesting. I'm going to flip to my book and look. There's in the back of the book. I also have some websites that I think people should check out, and I put in there. There are some sites where you can, all right, songvest.com and then royaltyexchange.com. Check that out if you want a mind blow. You can buy the rights to your favorite artists' songs. Or, there's publishing rights, there's playwright, but just noodle around those websites and whoa, I can own that.
Right. I see a Rihanna album up here. Okay. Yeah.
I
just
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Did the HR lady tell you about that?
No.
The HR lady didn't tell you can invest in that.
No, I've never heard of that.
And you can invest in businesses, right? You can invest in a McDonald's franchise. You can invest in dollar stores. You can invest in the business. You can invest in the land that those things are sitting on and collect rent. I was looking at a transaction for a Wawa. Wawa's from Pennsylvania. You
Yeah,
guys
there you go.
Wawa.
That's
All right.
Wawa.
Nice corner lot down in Fort Lauderdale. Do you think a prime corner lot on two main road intersections in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, is going to be worth more money 50 years from now or less money 50 years from now?
Definitely more.
Now you could have bought, because I was talking to the broker that was selling it, you could have bought the land. Wawa builds their facility. Wawa pays all the insurance. Wawa pays all the upkeep, called a triple net lease. They pay the taxes. They pay the insurance. It's basically a land lease, 30-year land lease with subsequent 10-year renewals up to Wawa. So, and the return is only about 5%. But I asked the broker, who's the buyer for that? Who's the buyer for that piece of land? He says, I'll give you an idea. Guy just sold his buildings in Chicago. And he's got $50 million and he wants to move to Florida. He doesn't want to work. He doesn't want to think. He doesn't want to operate. He's got 12 million bucks. He buys this triple net lease Wawa store. He doesn't own the Wawa store. He owns the land that Wawa is sitting on. When that comes back in 30 years or 50 years, depending if there's extensions, he owns that prime corner in Fort Lauderdale, and he owns the buildings on it. Wawa doesn't take their building away. By the way, if there's any, because we're talking about a gas station, if there's any environmental concerns, gas spills, Wawa's responsible for all the remediation. They're responsible for everything. So all you do is collect that land rent every month for a very conservative 5% return. But if you're that guy from Chicago who's got to place his funds and he doesn't want to do anything, and he's already made his money, but this is for the grandkids.
Right.
Grandkids are going to have a prime corner lot in Fort Lauderdale someday. The HR lady didn't tell you could do that. Now, let me tell you this. That may be that broker's prime example of who the typical buyer might be for something like that. But you know who else a buyer could be? Buyer could be a syndicator that gets together 15 people that all put in some change and they own equal shares in that. And now all their grandkids have a piece of something someday. You could get involved in deals like that.
Right.
You can go down to Paraguay and you could buy a greenhouse that's producing peppers, that's producing tomatoes, that's putting out cash flow on a quarterly basis. You own the land, you own the greenhouse, and you got the cash flow. You got the deed. It's an asset, and it's offshore. It's insulated from the U.S. Who knows? You could go to Belize and you could buy a piece of a major hotel project, a Marriott, a Hilton. Most people don't realize most of that stuff is syndications. Do you know that most of the big businesses in the U.S., I have the numbers in my book and I don't know them off the top of my head. Something 1/10 of the syndications are real estate, and we're talking billions and billions of dollars annually in the U.S., and 90% are for other business operations.
Wow.
Syndications are a huge source of funding. It's private placements. It's all it is. But you can put together deals with other people to purchase anything. Car washes. Talk about locking up some land. Buy a piece of land. Put a car wash on it. Could even be a self-serve car wash.
Mm-hmm.
It just sits there. And you got some guy collecting the quarters for you. And you're paying him something. And you got quite a passive investment. And then, you know, all these, you drive around any town, your Wendy's, your Johnny's Car Washes, your McDonald's, your Dollar Generals. They're all franchises. They're all businesses that you can buy into. You could buy into the businesses and operate them yourself. You could buy the businesses and hire a manager to operate the business. You could just buy the land that the businesses. We were looking at a deal last year. It didn't come to fruition, but we thought, wow, let's do a little 3-store strip in a lower income area with a fast food on one end, a dollar store on the other end, and a laundromat in the middle. You come do your laundry, do your shopping, and go get a cheeseburger.
Yeah, there you go.
There's some communities where that's the holy grail right there. You can invest in that land and collect rent. You can invest in the businesses. You could do that with others. Syndications typically on the lower end, you can find syndications with, you need some money. You're not going to do it $5,000, right? But you can get into some syndications for 50 grand.
Right. I've seen that.
Most of them are 100. Some of them are 500, but the point is, you don't do this from day one, more than likely, but you're building, you're taking out your car note, you're taking out your cell phone note, you're taking out your rent, and someday you're like, I got some money to play with. What am I going to do with it? Well, here's another thing. Conferences. You go into the New Orleans Investment Conference every year, spending 3 days with top brains, just listening and going to the booths and seeing what's going on. Just an example of one conference. Go to conferences, start networking, start finding out what the people you want to be like. I don't like that. How can I say that more elegantly? The people that you aspire to emulate in terms of their success in business, go hang out where they hang out. Where they hang out. All these people are going to conferences, either as attendees or speakers. Go introduce yourself. I know Born to Win.
Yeah.
Zig Ziglar. Tom's a good friend of mine. Tom Ziglar. Zig has passed away. Tom is a dear friend of mine. I could call him on his cell right now. My point is, I didn't know Tom before I went and introduced myself and knew Tom. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. My dad used to say, go where the people you want to meet go. And if you keep showing up, he says, eventually they'll think you're one of them. He must be one of us, right? And he told me that I was like 20. He's like, I was just getting started financial services. Listen, you got to go where the people with money, or people that, where are the people that you want to be around? What are the, are they in business? Are they this or that? And you got to show up in those places. And if you're in, let's say you're providing or service providing, you got to figure out their problems and help them get what they want, right? Or Zig's statement, you can, if you can get everything you want, if you help enough people get what they want. And I think you have to go, because money is, because people don't realize money is a result, right, of creating value in the marketplace. And so too many people say, I want more money, but entrepreneurs solve problems. So you want to, if you want to get enough money to make enough money to do some of these syndications, I think the first thing you got to figure out is how to create more value in the marketplace so that you are making a living, you're better than making a living, you're saving, and now you want to put your capital to work, and it's how I'm interpreting it when you're saying it. This is how I'm hearing it. So I'm just translating it for people that listen to me all the time, what he's saying, but this stuff is gold. So I want you to tell them. Now you have a free gift for our listeners today, right? And I want you to tell them about how to get the book. And
all right, so I have a website, wealthloop.com. Wealthloop, WEALTHLOOP.com. If you go to wealthloop.com, you're going to see take the strategic investing quiz. get a personalized assessment. You take that quiz, depending on how you answer those questions, you're going to get personalized feedback on where you are in terms of this strategic investing and planning paradigm that we've spoken about today. There's also going to be a tab where you can get free reports. I've got 5 free reports. You can get one, you can get all, whatever. So there's some free reports related to the stuff we're talking about today. You can also purchase the book through the site. And if you can get it at Amazon, Barnes and Noble, all of that good stuff. But if you purchase it through the site, you're going to get 10% off of the cover price. And you're also going to get free shipping. And I'm also going to sign it personalized. There's a little place where you can say, how do you want it personalized? And I'll actually sign the book, personalize it. You'll get it cheaper than on Amazon and free shipping. So there you go.
All right, I got it. I'm on the page right now. So that is brilliant. So before I let you go, let me squeeze in one more question. Here's the question. What's another, if you haven't told us the cool ones already, a really cool alternative investment that most people don't know anything about? Or one more.
Really cool alternative investment. I actually think the coolest are the royalties. I think I disclosed the coolest, and it's the most obscure. Who knew you could do that?
Yeah. Michael Jackson knew because he bought the Beatles album. So
Michael Jackson, yeah, but you think, oh well, that's something only Michael. You can buy certain royalties for $5,000 on that website. Now your returns are going to be equivalent to your $5,000 investment, but you could get 7 to 13% returns on those royalties if you look through there. My point is, who knew you could do that?
Right, not
you
me.
know, that's cool. You can do the same thing with I like royalties. You can do the same thing with precious metals. You could buy stocks in miners and hope they hit the mother lode, or you could buy stock shares in royalty companies. And royalty companies are companies that buy royalties in mines. So they'll have 1% of the take of that mine, and 0.5% of the take of that mine, and 3% of the take of that mine. And straight off the top, they don't have to worry about, expenses. Whatever that mine produces, they're getting whatever their percentage is right off the top. So there's companies out there that they buy these royalties and aggregate them. So instead of putting all your money in a gold miner that may hit or may not, you could buy into a pool of miners, and you're not buying into the stock price of the miners. You're buying into the production, the cash flow of those miners. Now, prices of commodities go up, go down. You may have years where they're not paying dividends or they are, but who knew? So you could buy just one-off miners. You could buy the physical gold and silver, but there's these cash flow streams that you could buy into for silver, for gold, for copper, for lithium, for all of these things. Who knew that you can do that?
Not me. I know most of our listeners are, and I think that we get so focused on the asset class that the big guys are promoting, and I like real estate, but I'm a
real estate guy.
Yeah.
I have a master's degree in international real estate, right? I'm a real estate guy, but there's other things. The purpose of this book, I wrote years ago. I wrote my real estate book years ago. This book is not about real estate. I love real estate. It's hard. It's real. You got to know what you're doing, folks, in real estate. Buy a house, and that may go well. It may not. I'll give you an example. And by the way, on time, I'm good. My day's clear. So it's up to you. But So I have a property management company right now. I spend 10, 15 hours a week in it, among other things that I do. I do some brokerage, but only for my current clients. So I'm not out there saying, hey, let me list and sell your house. But if I got a property management client that has something we're managing and they want to add to their portfolio or sell, then I'll get involved in brokerage. So I have these folks that bought a duplex, just 2-unit rentals. They took a course. They live out of state. They bought this property sight unseen. They saw photos and video from an agent. I had nothing to do with it. Then they asked me to manage it, asked my company to manage it, which we did for a little over a year. This is a 1928 frame property. Frame means wood. 1928. The property, the hot water heaters were going. The floors were warped. There was rat infestations. They knew none of this. We had to deal with all of this over the years and over the year. And finally, I said to them, look, you made a bad buy. We're not going to be able to get what, in order to bring this up to habitable, to my standards, it's not worth it. And if we sell it, you're not getting back the money you put into it. You got taken. Sorry it happened, but it happened. We just closed on that earlier in the week. They had to come to the table with $20,000 cash to get out of this property. So my point is, real estate's great, and the market was hot when they bought this. You know, it's now the market's deteriorating a bit, but this had nothing to do with the market. They made a bad buy. They took a course. They made a mistake. So it's possible in real estate to make mistakes. It's plus in the end, unless you're cranking them out, which is a business.
Right.
But if you're doing it here and there, onesie, twosies, a duplex here, and in 5 years you get a house, it takes a long time to accumulate. Markets go up, markets go down. You want to know how you can get involved in some big deals? Syndication. Be a passive investor. Let the person who's been doing it for 25 years and who's done it 50 times and who has a team around them be the operator, and then you provide the capital. You see, every operator needs every partner, GP, general partner, needs LPs. Operators operate, LPs provide the capital. They both need each other. If you find in your investing life 3 or 4 or 5 LPs that general partners, GPs, that you know and trust, invest with everything they do. You could literally become rich. You could literally become rich.
So I love that. I see. You're speaking to me. Like I tell people, if y'all are, I have like a page of notes, and I'm doing an interview because I think like I like to do what or operate as what Dan Sullivan call in my unique ability. So my unique ability is my business, right? And I like to take profits, and then now I'm realizing, all right, I don't really who not how, my man, right? And so I need a who, right? I'm almost to probably next year I'll get into syndication. I got some other stuff I want to do, but I'm thinking that all right, what do I really want to do? Do I want to fix and flip? I don't want to flip.
Yeah, do you want to be an operator?
No, I don't want to be an operator. That's what I realized.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't want to be an operator.
Most people think that's the only way.
Right.
That's why they don't want to be an operator, and they're not good at it, and they don't like it. How successful are you going to be doing something you're not good at and you don't like?
Right. Not very.
But it is a way to make money. And there are people that are really good at it and that really like it. Why not team up with those folks? Let me ask you something. You pick any company, pick a name of any company. You buy a company, stock, shares. going to call up at that company and say, hey, what's going on? Nobody. Right. They don't care about you. Worse yet, your 401k, you got a fund. Who are you going to call? If you're a limited partner, you're their partner. Mm-hmm. You're a partner in that building. You're a partner in that business. Now, you're a limited partner, which means you don't have operational control. General partner operates, which you want. They know what they're doing. You don't. But the point is that, trust me, you're the partner and they will talk to you. And you will get to know this person. If you're consistently year over year, everybody knows Robert Kiyosaki. He's an LP with Ken McElroy, a GP. Robert Kiyosaki says, I don't invest in real estate. I give my money to Ken.
Right.
And Ken invests in the real estate.
Right.
And then he sends me my cut. And he's been doing that for years and years and years, and they've been making millions of dollars together, along with other limited partners. Right. But the point is, they got a relationship. He can call him and say, hey, Ken, what's going on? And Ken has an obligation to his partner to tell him what's going on. You don't get that when you're investing in stocks. You don't get that when you're investing in bonds. You don't get that when you're investing in Bitcoin.
Relationships is key. I mean, it's all a relationship thing. And oh, dude, we have to do a part. We have to do a part 2 because I actually have to go. But this was brilliant. I mean, it was like it's so much stuff. I'm going to order the book, and then I'm gonna go through it after we're reading the book, and I'll with my notes and my journal about the whole thing because I'm seeing where I'm gonna make this part of my recommended reading to our clients. So I have you got to read a book a month on money, and a lot of times that they don't get so when I say I want you to learn how to do velocity, they don't really know what that, especially unless I'm already talking to business owners and real estate investors already know that they can make their thing, make more money than Vanguard. Regular people don't get that yet. They don't know anything but what the 401k lady teaches them. And now I was looking for a bridge to.
And the 401k lady doesn't teach them anything.
Right.
The 401k lady tells them stuff, and they say, well, okay.
Right.
There's no teaching.
And don't be a kid, right? And starting out where they're already going to take 3.5% of your money, just put it in there. Yeah. And and because all the marketing says save for retirement in your 401k, but you're not saving, you're investing. And into our definition earlier, you're not even investing, you're really speculating, right? But that doesn't sell well. Yeah, they're speculating.
Most people are speculators, and they don't even know it.
They don't even know it. John, this has been fantastic.
Curtis, thank you very much. I enjoyed speaking with you. Yes, I hope I provided value. That's the whole reason I'm here.
Yes.
Like I said, I'm a 60-year-old guy. I'm not selling anything but the book, so I'll make, $5 when it's all said and done if you buy it. I just want to share. I hate to see people. I know I've got people in my family, they get to their 60s, they get to 70, and they got to live on Social Security, and they don't have anything, and they work their whole life, and it could have been different, but nobody told them.
I told them.
Yeah. Who's going to tell them? Well, I'm trying to tell you. But you gotta listen.
Right?
Wealthloop.com.
Wealthloop.com. So we're gonna have all this in the show notes. Make sure y'all take action. Like this show is what it called edutainment, but it's you have to. This is a writer gave you a bunch of writer downloads you need to look up, and you got to dig into something. You got to figure out, what is your lifestyle liberation number, and then work backwards from that. And then you'll start. I think once you focused on that, everything else will kind of fall into focus, right? Because it's like, when you buy a car, you're looking at a car, all of a sudden you never noticed it before, now you see it everywhere, right? So if you develop your reticular activating system for wealth, you'll start to see stuff like that. You'll start to see, I realize, it does surprise me now, but I remember somebody was showing how you could buy into those J.G. Wentworth commercials, right? J.G. Wentworth, those are syndicators buying those money streams from people that have won these cases.
They're
right?
buying notes.
They're buying notes.
An income stream, look, it doesn't matter where the income stream comes from. It comes from the rent on the apartment. It could come from production of a gold mine. It could come from a hamburger stand. It could come from songs being played and records being sold. It's all income stream. And it's all about how much do I got to put in to get what stream out. And then you can calculate your return. And then you got to look at, okay, how stable is this stream? Is this stream like a gold mine will eventually be empty itself, right? There's not unlimited gold in that mine. So the point is, what's the lifetime of this stream? It might be a 2-year stream. It might be a 100-year stream. But once you get past the fact of what the particular mechanism is, it's all just money being invested, initial capital, to now invested, not speculated. Invested means what? Invested means there's going to be a cash flow. It means there's an economic engine. Now, what can you do with that engine, that cash flow? You could put money back into that same system, or you could go look for other systems, other economic engines to invest in. I think it's a pretty good idea to have 4, 5, 10, 50 different economic engines spinning. You don't need to have $1 million coming out of each engine. What if you had $10,000 a year coming out of that engine, and $42,000 a year coming out of that engine, and $11,000 a year coming out of that engine? Hey, that's pretty good.
That's very good, and that's nice. That's my idea of diversification, right? Yeah, it's not shuffling the deck, 10 different mutual funds or stocks. That's, to me, just shuffling the deck chairs on the Titanic.
If you got 10 different stocks, you're not diversified,
right?
Because you're invested in what? Stocks. That's not diversification.
Right, exactly. You're in one asset class.
Stocks.
That's right.
Diversification means completely unrelated asset classes.
Right.
If you're familiar with the term, the beta of unrelated things. Stock market goes up, this will go down. Stock market goes down, this will go up. It's good to have some offsetting types of investments to keep that cash flow smooth, because the economy is cyclical. Cut me off, but I'm going to launch into something right now.
All right, go ahead.
The economy. What is that? People say, oh, the economy's good, the economy's bad. What is good? What is bad? Just tell me what the economy. What is the economy? Economy are people,
right,
buying and selling with each other.
Right.
Now, when people say the economy is bad, what they mean is the environment in which people are buying and selling is bad for some reason. Economic downturns, inflation, that's all government policy. Inflation isn't a magical thing that happens like a hurricane comes. Oh, nobody knew it's a hurricane. It wiped out the town. And inflation came. Inflation is engineered.
Right.
The economy is just the circumstances of individual people buying and selling. So check it out. You don't care about that big economy. What's your economy?
Right.
You look, in the Great Depression, there were people that got rich and there were people that get wiped out. The quote unquote economy doesn't matter to you. What matters to you is what's in between your ears, the most valuable piece of real estate in the world, and how you strategically look at the world, how you strategically accumulate knowledge, how you strategically apply that knowledge, and the relationships you build and the people you move through life with, such that you are creating your economy regardless of what the politicians are doing, regardless of what everybody else is doing.
That's it. I always tell people I can't control the economy at large, but I can control my personal economy, my production and consumption as a family, as a household unit. And somebody asked me, "What do you think about the recession?" I said, "I don't know. I'm not participating in the recession." I've decided not to participate because it's not. I mean, all I see is like opportunities all over the place. Because it's how I look at it. Even if it says real estate is pulling back, there's still people who are going to make a lot of money because they're not pulling back. And they know what they're doing. And
I think it's a good time to have dry powder.
Yeah.
I think a year from now, look, this is free advice. It's worth what you paid for it, right? I'm just one guy with an opinion that's been in real estate business 35 years, went through the 2008 crash, had houses foreclosed on me. That's never going to happen again. Learned my lesson big time.
Mm-hmm.
Now's a good time to be cash rich, dry powder. I think a year from now, prices might be down as much as 40%. I think that's on the extreme side, but it's possible, certainly in some markets. And there's going to be people that need to be rescued. They're in situations where they made poor decisions, and people who have capital are going to be able to rescue them.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So,
and you got to have access to capital. And that's where we teach saving, right? And that's why I use infinite banking for as a place to store your capital. But yes, Nelson used to say, if you have money, opportunities will find you if you have capital. And so they'll come to you because you'll be helping people and you're really still solving a problem for somebody.
Solving a problem. It's not bad to have made right decisions, to put yourself in a situation to help people out who made bad decisions and put themselves in a poor situation. Right. It's not your fault they did that to themselves.
Right.
And the property, the asset, whatever that they're going to lose, there's no reason why you shouldn't help them transfer that asset into the hands of someone who's going to manage it better. And last thing, the capital doesn't all have to be yours. You can pool capital with others to take out deals that you can't take out on your own. That's what syndication is all about, right? So start thinking about that. I don't know about running restaurants or hotels or real estate buildings or industrial buildings, apartment buildings. But there are people out there that do. And there's also bunches of people like me. We got $50,000, $100,000. If we all get together, we could start doing some good things together. I'm not saying I'm saying you guys.
Right.
In general, you can, don't think, I only have, $50,000. I can't get involved in any of that stuff. No, start learning. Read my book. I do a very detailed, there's a whole section on syndications, what syndications are, how you qualify, how you don't qualify, what GPs do, general partners, what LPs do, the types of deals. There's a whole chapter on that. So just, again, take a breath. The book isn't to teach you to be an expert on any one thing. It's simply to open your eyes to a world of investing and planning that you might have never known existed. And now you're going to be prepared with the bibliography of 30 plus books. You can deep dive wherever you want, some websites that you can visit, some conferences that you might want to go to, and start getting yourself prepared for the life that you are going to live from this day forward.
That's fantastic. All right, my brother, we got to go. I could have you back and just talk about syndication. So when I read that chapter,
read the book. Let's do some. Give it a few months to percolate in, and then
Oh, that's definitely for sure. John, thank you for being on the Practical Wealth Show. I know if they didn't get any value, which I can't see how, I did. Okay, well, so I appreciate you. And
if one person got value, and that's you, if one
me.
person got value, my job is done.
Your job is done then, because I'm on fire right now. So, and I'm sure everybody did. So we appreciate it. So guys, we'll put all the links to John's info in the show notes. Definitely, I highly recommend the book. And his website and the free reports and the
and I'm on LinkedIn and Facebook and all that good stuff. And you'll see the links on my website, wealthnuke.com. So, follow me on LinkedIn. I post mostly what I do on LinkedIn. I'll find a good article in the Wall Street Journal. I'll post it. I'll find a good article in Forbes and I'll post it. So if you want to follow me there, you'll get an idea of what I'm looking at, what I'm thinking, because I think understanding what's going on in the big global picture is very important to making your micro decisions.
I agree 1,000%. Okay. All right, sir. So thank you. And I just followed you on LinkedIn.
All right. God bless you, everybody. Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
You're welcome. Take care.
Bye.
Enjoy that freezing weather in Florida.
Ooh, 69 degrees.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.